Yeah, for today's practice, you might like a bolster or a pillow or a couple pillows. Pillows always come in handy, I find, or a blanket, a belt or long scarf might also come in handy today. Um, yeah, the other thing, I guess, is a block if you have it, but you can always use a pillow instead. Yeah, so let's begin resting on the back. Use any props you like to be comfortable in that position. Yeah, you might choose to keep your knees bent, feet flat on the floor. That's often the position that my back and hips prefer. Or if you're letting your legs stretch out, a pillow under the thighs might be enough to let you be comfortable there. Take a bit of time to settle into the floor. Position the arms in a way that helps you relax through your shoulders. Getting a sense of your shoulders resting both away from the ears and down towards the ground. And feel the length of your arms start to soften into the support of the floor. And do your best to let go of any tension through the hands and the fingers. It can be helpful to find a little movement through them first, just to notice how they feel. A little opening and closing of the hand before you then rest and relax. And feel the position of your head, finding center, long through the back of your neck, so you might tuck the chin down a wee bit. And then also spacious and relaxed through the front of your neck around the throat. So finding that balance. Feeling free to close your eyes to allow for your awareness to settle into your body. And how do you land into your body today? Sensing any areas that feel stiff or tight or just that are talking to you. Any areas of your body you're more aware of. And noticing also the areas of your body that are able to relax and rest here, that are able to soften and be comfortable. So as you feel your body's weight begin to land a little heavier into the ground, start to notice your breath. How does your breath move through your body? And see if you can feel how your breath starts to slow down in no rush as it moves in and as it flows out. Often just the simple act of becoming more conscious of the breath invites the breath to slow down and deepen without strain, without force. And for the last few cycles of breath here, see if you can soften a little further, deeper into your belly, out into the sides of your ribs, so you can sense the breath's movements into these areas, expanding with your inhale and softening, letting the breath go as you exhale. And then we can little by little just continue to feel your body resting here as you start to deepen the breath again. So deepening the inhales through the nose. And you're welcome to sigh them out if you like through the mouth. As you do that a couple more times, start to find some movement, waking up through fingers and toes. Feeling free to sigh out the exhales as you reawaken further through wrists, ankles, head and neck if you like. All right, and then let's stretch long through the body, find some length. And any wiggles and any further stretches into any tight spots you're noticing today. All right. And then we can bend the knees. And eventually bring the knees in. You can do one at a time, both together, whatever feels good for you. Holding on with your hands wherever they want to land, knees together or apart. And then maybe start with a gentle rock here, side to side, just nice massage into your lower back. All right, and then let's keep the right knee in today, and we can either bring the left foot to the floor, or you can stretch your left leg long along the ground. So whatever feels best for you in that left leg. And while you're here, holding on to your right leg, either with your hands, you could also use your belt around the back of the thigh and hold on to the belt instead. So let's just feel this folding of the right hip. On the exhale, you might feel that knee coming in just a little closer as you're letting go of the breath. And then as you inhale and your belly expands, your lungs fill, your knee might move away from you slightly. So see if you can sense that pulse of movement as you breathe. Doing your best to soften into the shoulders, soften into that right hip. If you notice, there's a bit of discomfort or grip in the right hip, you can bring your thumb into that hip crease and you can kind of massage and press down into it, deepening that hip crease as the knee hugs in. So that was just made my hip fold quite a bit more comfortable. So maybe just one more breath with that. All right. And then let's switch. So you can release the right foot to the floor, hug the left knee in, or you can stretch your right leg long along the ground. Whatever feels best on this side, could be different. All right, and then just noticing how it feels with this bit of asymmetry, right? As we're hugging the left knee in, finding that deeper fold in the left hip. And with each inhale, just allowing breath to move in a little deeper. Knee can move away from you a little more. And the exhale, it's almost like the exhale helps you push out a little more breath, thigh to belly. Or towards belly, doesn't have to touch. Okay, and if you like, again, feel free to bring that left thumb into that left hip crease. You can kind of push down on it, massage into any tight spots there you're noticing, and that might help you sink in a little further into that hip. Maybe one more breath with it. Trying to relax into the neck and shoulders. Really good. Okay, and then let's switch again. Bring the right knee in again, so you can either left foot to the floor, left leg stretched out. So then we can start to find more of a circular movement with the hip. So you're welcome to guide the movement with maybe one hand makes sense. So you can find more of a circle with your knee. So if you try to let your knee stay just nice and bent so that the foot isn't drawing the circle, it's more the knee, and the foot just is relaxed, kind of, towards the buttocks. And starting to find a little more range perhaps in that hip, maybe making the circles a little bigger. And if you want to make them even bigger, at some point you'll probably need to let go of the leg. So it's up to you. If you want to keep guiding the movement with your hand, feel free to do that. And then we can circle the other way as well. Okay? So just go exploring. Small, large, medium-sized circles, getting into different angles in the hip as you breathe. Fantastic. Okay, and then let's just hold on to the knee again or behind the thigh. So you can do this with either your hands or your belt around the thigh instead, the back of it. See if you can keep your shoulders resting close to the ground, away from the ears as you clasp the leg. And then go ahead and find a little stretch up through the back of the heel, and then point the toes and bend the knee again. So now we're moving more through the knee rather than the hip. Stretching the leg up, pointing the toes as we bend the knee again. So you might do that with your breath. One movement is the inhale, other movement the exhale. Great, and then let's keep as much length as it feels comfortable to hold, okay? So feel free, of course, to keep that knee bent as much as you need to. While we're stretching through this leg, let's circle the ankle. So draw the circle with your foot. Feel out the shape that you're drawing. Let your toes get involved. Go a little slower through those tighter, stickier spots. Try to keep breathing along the way. And then circle the other way. So again, slow those circles down. Feel into the tight spots. And notice the warmth that starts to come into your ankle, your lower leg. Warming up some of those muscles. Indeed. And then you might, if it feels good, to give the leg a little shake in the air. You can give that a try. And then let the leg come to the floor. And I'd suggest stretching it out along the ground and just letting it relax. You might even go for a couple little leg wags. So rolling across the back of that heel and just kind of wagging your foot side to side. Jiggling the length of your leg from your hip down. You could also go for some knee bounces. And then any movement you're doing, just find a little stillness again. Let the leg fully relax at whatever angle it lands into. Notice how that leg feels compared to your other leg. My right leg feels like airy, spacious, longer. All right, let's switch it up. So again, you can feel free to keep your right foot on the ground or keep the right leg stretched out as you're hugging the left knee in now. Okay. So just landing into that, resting through your shoulders, relax through the neck as we start to just guide the left leg now into circles. And we can use the hand to help aid the movement through this left hip. So finding the breath along the way. And we're trying our best to keep centered and stable through the pelvis, through the waist. So there's definitely a little core support needed for this one, just to try to prevent yourself from rocking side to side with these circles. And if you're wanting to make them bigger, maybe you go for less or no support. That's it. Drawing the circle, remember, with your knee and not your foot. So the movement comes into your hip. However large, however small, find it out for you on this side. Yeah, and then let's go in the other direction. So finding a sort of stiffness through the center, through the belly, while still breathing as we circle into the hip. Finding those different angles. All right. Okay, and then we'll hold on to the thigh again, if you like, with your hands or with the belt. So we can go ahead and lengthen through the back of the leg just until it's a nice comfortable stretch up through the heel, and then point the toes as you let the knee bend again. Lengthening through the heel up, spreading the toes back, pointing the toes as you bend. So we're moving from knee, but also through ankle and foot. As you do that, sense your breath with each inhale and each exhale. Okay, and then we can lengthen through the leg just until it's feeling like a nice comfortable stretch. Any amount of bend that feels good for you, stay with it as you circle your foot. How does this ankle feel? Find the full range. Toes curling and spreading along the way, letting them be part of the movement. Good. And then go in the other way as well. Often with any sort of joint rotation, especially foot or wrist circles, we tend to kind of do them quickly and kind of mindlessly, because it's a familiar movement. But see if you can slow it down and just really sense the whole shape of your circle, moving a little slower through those sticky spots. Definitely feeling some warmth in those muscles. All right, give everything a little shake. And then when you're ready, land your leg all the way down to the floor. Stretch it out. Find some wags, roll across the back of that heel. We're rotating the leg in and out here, nice and fast and loose, up into that hip. And then if it feels good to go for a couple knee bounces, feel that out. And then allow for the leg to fully relax again. Sensing both legs a little more alive. Okay, great. Let's bend the knees. Whew. And once again, hug both knees in. Let's just check in with the lower back. And of course, if bringing the knees in isn't feeling great, you can also do this sort of same rock with your feet on the ground, right? And just kind of roll from one hip to the other. It's like a mini windshield wiper. Okay. All right. Let's hug the right knee in and stretch the left leg this time out along the ground. So we can lengthen through that left leg. Let's reach a little more through the left heel. So feel like your knee and your toes are pointing up to the sky. As we press down through the left thigh, can we hug the right knee in any closer? Yeah, so feeling that both directions. So we're pushing out through the left heel, pressing down through the left thigh, as we're hugging that right knee in a bit more. Okay. Now, can we bring the right knee out to the side a little bit more? So I've just got my right hand holding on to the right leg. You can also have your belt around the right thigh and hold on to it and take it out to the side, okay? So just a little bit out without moving your pelvis with you. So we're still on our back. And just noticing how that's feeling through inner thigh. Feel another breath with it. And then we're going to bring and swing the knee across to the left. So this time we might take our left hand to the right thigh and release now the right arm out to the side. So can we stay resting into that right shoulder as we slowly guide this knee across until maybe that right hip starts to lift. That's it. And I've got this pillow or bolster to the left side, so you feel free to have something a little higher than the ground, right, for your foot to land on. You could also simply land your foot on your bottom leg or on the floor, of course, if it gets there comfortably. So let's rest into this bit of a twist here. You're deciding how much of a twist you're going into. If you want less twist, just don't quite lift that right hip as high off the floor. Find the angle that you can release into, settling through your upper back, out through that right arm, shoulder, and letting the head also rest out to the right a bit. And while you're here, if you can reach with your left hand, you're welcome to just massage a little bit into the side of your thigh, whether it's down by your knee or up by your hip. You'll definitely come across some tight spots there. Let's breathe into them. And then here too, within the twist, you might try stretching through your right leg. So keeping the knee where it is, so at whatever angle your hip is at, lengthen from there, from the knee out through the calf, through the heel. And then you can bend the knee again and just kind of ease into that movement. And you can decide if you want to hold some of that stretch through the leg at this point. We can be here for a couple breaths. My foot is higher. It's no longer on the pillow because this angle just feels better with the leg stretched for me. So if you can feel that out for yourself. Okay, and then go ahead and bend the knee again. When you're ready, take your time to unwind back to your back. Oh, and you might just land with both feet on the floor, knees bent. Just take a moment there. And of course, do any little shifts and movements your body's needing before we take it to the other side. Yeah, so if you're using a pillow or bolster, bring it over to your right side. Let's stretch out the right leg as we're holding the left knee with a belt or your hands. So let's just take a moment right here. Feel your right leg lengthening along the ground, pushing down a bit more through that right thigh, pushing out through the heel like you're standing into that foot. And as you do that, can you hug the left knee in any further without lifting that right thigh? Good. So now, keeping the right thigh heavy towards the floor, let's just take the left knee out to the left a little bit. So I'm holding on with just my left hand, kind of catching the side of my knee with it. You might also just hold your belt and just be there for a few breaths, allowing the left knee to stretch out a bit to the left without lifting your right hip, right thigh. That's it. Let's feel that with another breath or two. Okay, then we're going to bring the knee across. So over to the right. Now you can switch hands. Resting right hand on the thigh, sending the left arm out to the side so we can rest into the left shoulder while we slowly guide the knee across and start to lift the left hip. How much lift? More lift is going to ask for more twist and stretch, right? Through your spine, through your left side. So find out how much feels good to go into here. Resting your left foot on your support. And we can just allow for the breath to move into this left side. Each exhale, you might try letting the head rest a little more with gravity to the left. Left ear heavy towards the floor as you soften into the neck here. And maybe you can feel that little pulse of breath. How do you move as you breathe in? How do you move as you breathe out? Yeah, all the while perhaps massaging into the side of that left thigh. And then if you want to stretch and bend through that left leg a few times, you can lengthen through the leg from the knee, through the calf, through the heel. And you can choose to keep the knee bent or stretched any amount for the last couple breaths here. All right, when you're ready, let's bend the knee again. Take your time to once again unwind. Back onto the back. Okay. So let's land both feet to the floor. So we've got them heels under the knees. And you might lift and try to slide your shoulder blades further down your back so that you can land the arms into the ground along your sides and feel your upper back making that connection with the ground. Wide, rested into the back ribs. Now let's start to find a little curling of the tail up with the exhale, hugging in and up through the belly. And then on the inhale, can you relax the belly, rolling your weight down to your tailbone. So finding those pelvic tilt motions as a rolling point of contact down towards your tail as you breathe in, rolling back towards the back of your waist as you breathe out. Then with your next exhale, let's curl the tail up as you push down through the feet. Start to lift your hips. Lift your spine to your own comfortable height. That's it. And feel a full breath here. Breathing into all that space you notice through your front chest, ribs, belly. And then as you exhale, try to roll down again, nice and slowly through your spine from top to bottom. Try to land your back ribs before the back of your waist. Finally, sacrum lands, and then you can inhale and tip forward again towards your tailbone. Lower back is going to arch. Then first now flatten into that back waist. Curl the tail up again. Lift the hips. Find your bridge. Pause into it. Sense the support of the arms, the feet, making deeper footprints down through that big toe mound especially. You got it. And then again, rolling down through the spine as slowly as you can manage, trying to find each link in that chain, landing back to the ground. One last time, let the inhale tip you forward, tail down, low back arches. Exhale, flattening first, find the support, hugging up and in through the belly to lift the hips. So let's pause and stay in this bridge for a few more breaths here. Imagine your knees reaching forward past your toes. Feel your tailbone reaching up towards your knees. So allow for the glutes to engage. Find that gentle squeeze through them while the neck is relaxed and long away from the shoulders. For one more breath here. Very good. Take your time again to roll yourself slowly down through your spine from top to bottom. Wonderful. Once you're down, just take a moment to relax and do any little movements your body needs. And then we're going to do a hip stretch. So this is where you might actually like your belt and perhaps even a block or a bolster pillow, okay? So just have those things close by so that we can begin with the right ankle over the left knee. So while you land your ankle over that knee, let's flex the foot so it stays strong through the ankle, like you're standing on that foot. And just start to allow for the knee to swing sort of towards you and away from you. And as you do that, you're moving from your hip socket where your thigh bone sits into the pelvis. So you're finding the range that you have in your hip without moving the pelvis as much as you can. So I've got my fingertips kind of on each side of the pelvic bones there that stick out in front. So just trying not to move them. And notice how far your knee can turn out, meaning move away from your head before your pelvis wants to shift. And just go to that point. And if this is quite intense for you already, you can stay here, or you could just try lifting your left foot that's still on the ground, and you could bring a pillow or a block underneath your left foot. So you're just into that stretch, just a little bit more. But you're still able to rest into that stretch. And if you're like, I don't feel much, I want more stretch, well, then you might take your hands or your belt around the back of that left thigh and hug it in towards you. So now your foot is off the floor of your support. So wherever you happen to be, can you feel like your right ankle kind of presses into your left thigh? And especially if your left foot is off the floor, your left thigh is also pressing into your ankle. So where your legs meet, they're pressing together and resisting each other. So there's just a little bit of muscular engagement within this stretch. That's it. Keeping some stability into that hip socket as we stretch more into the glute. You might feel this in the inner thigh even. So just noticing for yourself where you sense some of that stretch as you breathe. I'm finding a little pulse of movement away on the inhale and in closer on the exhale. You might also find a bit of movement side to side. Even with that foot staying on your pillow, you can just allow for the knees to go side to side, and that'll get into the hips a little differently as well. So feel free to explore. A couple more breaths with it. Yeah, and you might pause at any angle that feels particularly like it gets into your own tight spots. Wonderful. And then bring it on back down with both feet to the floor. And you might just go for a few windshield wipers. So with your feet a little wider apart, allow for the knees to shift side to side, down towards the ground, just as close as they get in each direction. And allow for the head to roll opposite. Okay, so let's feel it out on the other side. When you're ready, land both feet to the floor again. So we have the back of the pelvis. We can sense the back pelvis landing wide into the floor while we take our left ankle over that right knee. So keep the left foot flexed the whole time. So we're pushing a little through the heel, spreading the toes back towards the shin as we feel out the range on this hip, swinging the knee sort of towards you and away from you. Feeling how much movement you have through the hip socket before the whole pelvis and waist area follows. So we're trying to keep the waist and the pelvis stable. So if we push past that point, we're just pushing past the point that the hip can go into. So we're trying to just find and feel that range. And this side's a little smaller for me, the range. So then again, if you're like, whoo, yeah, this is a lot, maybe you just want a little bit more, which means elevating the foot just up on a pillow or block, right? Or you can bring your hands around the back of that right thigh or your belt and hug that right thigh in towards you a little more. And you'll definitely find more stretch there. So wherever you are, whatever angle feels best for you, try to feel where your legs are connected. They're pressing together. So the thigh is pushing back into that ankle and the ankle is pushing out into the thigh. And then you might just explore whether it's tiny little adjustments, side to side or forward and back, or larger movements. What feels good for you on this side? Smaller movements feel better for me on this side. That's it. And just keep checking in with any areas in, like, especially your upper body, your neck, your shoulders. Checking in with any tension and holding that you can relax. So you can feel a little more breath moving down into belly, down into the hip. You're stretching as you maintain length through the neck. Couple more breaths with it. Feeling free to back away from the stretch at any time. You can lower that right foot again. All right, and then if you haven't yet, land both feet back to the floor again. Once more, revisit a few windshield wipers, feet wide, resting on the mat as the knees go side to side, head rolls opposite. Okay, and then take your time to come and roll to one side for a few breaths. So we've been on the back for a good 40 minutes now. So just take a bit of time. You might open your eyes, look around your space, orient yourself. And then when you're ready, let's push up and we'll slowly make our way into table pose. So find your version of table pose today. That could mean being on the ground, knees under hips, maybe on a bit of padding, or you're welcome to use a chair. Have the hands on the seat of the chair as you stand. Ooh. So whatever variation you're going for today, let's find it and feel the support of both hands under the shoulders and the feet or the knees under the hips. If you're in more of that standing table, you might soften the knees a bit more, keeping them bent. So let's begin here, finding a nice gentle wave through the spine as we round it through a cat tilt, just a nice gentle stretch in the back. And then opening up more through the front as your head and your tail lift, widen into the chest. And explore your own range. And within this shape, right, we're trying to keep our shoulders above our hands, our hips above our knees or feet, so that the movements coming through the spine primarily, from head to tail, tail to head, moving through the natural curves of your spine. All right. And then find more of a neutral spine. And we're going to just walk either the feet or the knees a little to the left. As we walked our feet or knees to the left, let's send the left hand further out in front of the right hand so that we can now push the hips back. That's it. So we'll find more stretch right now into the left side, right? So sending the hips back. If you're down on the ground, it'll just look like this. Reaching the hips straight back rather than out to the side as you're lengthening into that left side from hip to shoulder. Breathe into it. Great. And then feel the inhale bring you back up through center. Okay, hands under the shoulders, knees or feet walk to the right. So we're trying to send the hips straight back as our right arm reaches across, more in front of that left hand. That's it. So we found a bit more of a side bend, arcing just enough to stretch a little further into your right side. Feel the breath move into it. As you exhale, you might find a little more length. Really good. And then bring it back to center. Hands under the shoulders, feet, knees to center. Yeah, and then let's try bringing it back into downward dog. So sending the hips up and back, or walking the feet back if you're using the chair. And feeling a little more length now through both sides. And of course, in your downward dog shape, feel free to pedal out the feet. That might get into some of that stiffness through the calves a little more. And then you might try just keeping a little bend through the knees as your hips lift a little higher, reaching away from the head. And then maybe sending the heels down and back, just as close to the ground as they get for one more breath. All right, let's start to walk the feet forward or walk the hands back till you're in a standing forward bend. So of course, as the hands and feet get closer together, bend the knees more. Bend them as much as you need to allow for belly to come closer to the thighs. Now your hands might rest on some support, whether that's the chair or a couple blocks, or elbows to thighs. You could also just allow for the upper body, arms to dangle with gravity while the legs are strong and supporting you here. So how does your breath move as you're half upside down? And you're welcome to find little sways, little wiggles, side to side if that feels good, for another breath or two here. And then we can try rolling up slowly, so bringing more weight back into the heels, bending the knees perhaps a little more too as we push down through the feet and try to roll the spine back up to standing so the head lifts last. Oh yeah. All right. Great. Let's just take a moment, find our feet. So shift and release through the body as you like. And then just notice how your feet land. Have a look at them. And can you bring them as parallel as your hips let you comfortably do? Okay? So toes is facing forward as your hips can let you. Whether they're wider or narrower, your choice. What feels good and stable for you. And just start to rock up onto the toes. See if you can lift the heels any amount. And then lower the heels. Lift and spread the toes. Feel that a couple more times. Each time you lift and lower, see if you can sense your spine in the center, head light to the sky, tailbone heavy towards the heels the whole time. You're welcome to add on if you want. Arms lifting as heels lift. Woo! And arms lowering as heels lower, toes lift. You find your own pace with it. You might have to go quite slow in order to maintain the balance. Let's try for one more with movement. Woo. And then land into your feet. Feel another breath there. Okay, so let's bring the hands to the hips and shift the weight into the right foot. So as we stand into the right foot, I'd like to just lift and spread just the toes so you're rooted into the pads of your feet from big toe to baby toe. And then relax the toes to the floor as the left heel lifts. So let's stay on the toes of the left foot. And just again, let's start to find that movement, that swing of the knee that we were doing on our back just a bit ago, where the knee turns out and turns in, trying not to let the pelvis rotate with you. So can you keep pubic bone, navel facing forward? That's it. So this knee might be more at an angle to the front corner rather than to the side wall, and that's quite all right. Okay, then go into that angle that your knee can turn out to and bring your heel to the inner ankle. And then you might have the arms out to the sides. Find a focal point for your eyes to soften on. So whether that's down on the ground in front of you or at eye level, feel out your balance. And if you feel steady, you might try sliding or lifting that left foot higher, keeping it below the knee or taking it above the knee on that inner thigh. And the whole time here, we try to keep the left knee pointing out just as much as our hip lets us. Ooh, we could try lifting the arms a little higher. That'll definitely change your center of gravity. You could try bringing the hands together above the head, or keep the arms wide. What lets you be here with breath and with the wobbles that are there. We're finding balance, strengthening our standing leg. Fantastic. And then let's lower the feet, the hands. Give everything perhaps a little shake, especially that standing leg. And you might just take note of where it is you felt that the most. So for me today, it was up around that outer hip, glute area, thigh. Yeah, some other times it's more in my ankle or calf. So wherever you felt it is legit. So just take a moment, stand into both feet, and you might just soften your gaze or close your eyes. You're welcome to have the arms beside you or palms in front of the heart together as you just take a moment to slow the breath, find some calm, connect down through your feet as you lift up through the head and neck. Okay, bring the hands again to the hips. Let the eyes open. Shift your weight into your left foot. As you do that, just maybe lift again, spread the toes, widen through the pad of the foot. As you relax your toes down, lift your right heel. Okay, so let's go for a swing in this hip. So we're kind of pivoting on our toes to turn the knee out and turn the knee in a bit. How far does this leg turn out before the whole pelvis would go with you? Right? So we're finding the limits, the rotation, the capacity of this hip. All right. So turning the knee out just as far as the hip takes you. Bring the ankle, heel to ankle. Arms can come out to the sides and just sense the push down through left foot as you lift taller through the spine, up through the crown. That's it. And you're welcome to stay right here. This is great. Toes staying on the floor as a bit of a kickstand, or you might try lifting the right foot higher. You got it. That's it. Find how this side's working for you today. Maybe changing up the arms, finding whatever position you want to hold them in. You could keep them wide in more of a Y shape. Be with your breath here. Try to catch yourself as you lose your balance. That's what it's all about. Just trying to catch yourself and rebalance again. And of course, if you fall into it, out of it, just take your time to come back into it. Fantastic. Oh, yeah. And then let that go. Take your time to come on out. And yeah, you might have felt it in a different spot on that leg, perhaps. I did. It was more around my calf and ankle on this leg, not so much up into that hip. So just interesting to see and feel those differences. Okay. All right. So I'm facing you standing sort of in the middle of my mat. So something like that would be good for you if you want to face the longer edge of your mat, so that we can, once again, keep the right leg pretty much where it is, facing forward. As we start to, maybe start with your left foot stepping forward, bending into that foot and knee, and then stepping back, and maybe stepping it out a little more to the side and forward and back. So just taking your time to step away from your leg, out to the side and back. And little by little, keep rotating your toes to turn further out to the side and back, right? So we're finding again that rotation turning out into the leg, stepping eventually almost straight out to the left as much as you can, and turning your toes and knee to point out to the left as much as you can, okay? So let's go there and stay there. So you find the stance, the length of your stance. I'm going to walk my right foot a little further out to the right to lengthen my stance a bit from foot to foot. Find what's feeling comfortable, stable. And when you bend your front knee, your left knee, can you bring it in line? Can you still see your big toe inside this knee? And if not, just keep your foot turned at the angle that lets you have that angle through your leg. Knee pointing with your toes. Let's bring both arms out. Okay, so we've got that nice turnout through the left leg as we're strongly planted down through our right foot. Spine is right in the center. That's it. Let's just be here for a bit. Let's turn the head to look towards the left hand. Feel the left hand stretching out. Your palm can be facing any direction. What lets your shoulders relax a bit away from the ears. So while we feel the left arm stretching out to the left, can you also feel the right arm that you can't see reaching in the other direction? Where's your center? Can your ribs stay right above your hips? That's it. Trying not to let your back arch like something like this. So tail stays heavy, head is light. Feel another breath with it. Strong through both feet. Okay. And then lower the arms. All right. Take your hands to your hips again. So let's see about moving the hips to the right while we deepen the crease through our left hip, right? So come back up through center. So the hips are going to shift to the right a little bit as we deepen the left hip crease. Upper body moves. So feel that out. However far, however small, however big the movement is for you. And then go there and stay there. And we'll see about now stretching a little further through this front leg. That's it. So any amount, whether that knee stays a bit bent or stretched, and then left hand can land onto that leg and the right arm can stretch out. Good. So my left hand somewhere around the knee, yours could be above the knee or even below the knee. And as we're lengthening out through this right arm, we could even try gazing a bit more towards it. Now, if that doesn't feel great in the neck, just keep looking straight ahead. Feel another full breath with it. Good, and then start to bend the front knee again, pushing down through the feet to rise up. Now we're going to turn the left foot to face forward, and you can even just walk the feet going in that rotation back to center. Oh yeah. Okay, just check in. Little shakes. We'll feel how that is on the other leg, on the other side. So just start in the middle of your mat. Both feet facing more forward towards the long edge of your mat there. Left foot's going to stay put this time. We're going to move the right foot. So you might just start it forward, pointing forward, then step back. And then just little by little, step it further out. So you're starting to turn your toes little by little further out to the left. And eventually stepping more out, to the right. This way. That's it. Away from your standing foot. So how much of a turnout do you have when you bend that knee and when you land your foot, your knees point with your toes. So then going out straight more to the right, just as much as your hip lets you, keeping your knee bent, pointing with your toes, and then you might choose to walk your left foot a little further away. Find your shape, strong through both legs. So the back leg stays strong and straight, front knee stays bent. We can try to keep that big toe inside the front knee. Arms wide, sweeping out to the sides, as now we turn to look to the right hand. As that right arm stretches away, feel the left arm lengthen back in the opposite direction. And the spine is long in the center. Feeling a little bit of that support broad and lifted through the lower belly with each exhale. So that might encourage tailbone to feel heavier towards the floor. A little more space there in the front of that left hip. That's it. And we start to feel the weight of the arms. So then let's lower the hands down to the hips. So this is where we're going to try to initiate the movement from our pelvis. Our pelvis shifts to the left, kind of like you're trying to stick the left buttock out more. And you're going to find more bend in the right hip. And then come on back up again. So just get a sense of that motion initiated through pelvis, through hips. And the upper body just follows. That's it. So yeah, noticing how this side moves for you. And then going into it, deepening that fold in that right hip. And we can try straightening a little more through the front leg at this point. You decide how straight it's going to stay. While you slide your right hand down onto that leg, the left arm can stretch out. I've got my left arm. You can imagine it's an extension of your collarbone. Just lengthening out from that shoulder, wide across the chest. Can your head be part of the rest of the spine, right in line, centered between the shoulders? And then you can try, if you like, turning the head to look towards your left thumb. Or just keep your gaze forward if that doesn't feel great. Pause for your breath here. Good. Bend the front knee again. Press down through both feet as you rise up, and then pivot on your foot to face forward. Now we're going to come into a wide-legged forward bend, okay? So just keep your feet as wide as feels stable through those baby toe sides. You're rooted as much as big toe sides. Toes are now facing forward. So we can bend the knees a bit. So as you bend your knees, let's deepen the crease through these hips, right? We're pushing the bum back and up a bit as we come forward over the legs. And then we can slide the hands down. Maybe they stay on the legs, by the ankles, or even the knees. Or you might rest your hands to the floor, or a couple blocks, or some support. And just be here. Can you find little shifts on your feet? Forward a bit more towards your toes, back towards your heels. You might try lifting and spreading the toes. And be wider from big toe to baby toe pad. Yeah, and then see if you can stay with the weight, kind of 60% more towards like toes, pads of feet. Heels are still down. You're just letting the weight shift forward a little bit more with another breath or two. Knees can be as bent as you like. All right, then start to lift the head and chest. If your feet are quite far apart, you might bring them in a bit closer together. So you can take the hands to the thighs, push down strongly through your feet as you rise up slowly. And then once again, let's walk the feet together. All right. And we're going to come down to have a seat. So you might like to sit on your pillow or bolster. All right. Whew. So let's see about bringing the soles of the feet together. So again, a little more height under the hips may be appreciated for this, especially if you notice your knees are quite a bit higher than your hips when you're in this position, right? So prop up, stack a couple pillows even. to sit up the hips a bit higher on. With the soles of the feet together, can you feel big toe mounds stay connected, heels gently pressing together, while the knees are moving apart and down, just as much as your hips take you. So even though my hands right now are resting on my inner knees, I'm not pushing them down, just letting them relax. Okay? So try to find your seat with your spine above, shoulders above hips, head above shoulders. Nice. And then we're going to find a bit of a twist in each direction. So let's first take the right hand either to your pillow or to the floor beside your hip and reach across with your left arm, keeping yourself upright. So we're twisting to the left. That left arm can reach across. We're not pulling on anything. We're just reaching, staying tall through the spine. You got it. And then where does this hand want to land? Could be by the ankle, could be by the knee. As we stay in that twist, can you sense each breath moving in, moving out. Softening into the shoulders, letting them rest against the back, away from the ears. As you find that gentle rotation through the neck. Good. Feel your inhale. Bring you back to center. And then just take a moment. You could slide the hands down towards the ankles and allow for a gentle release forward through the spine. So finding a nice even arc through the whole spine from head down to tail. And then when you're ready, push down through your legs, through your feet to roll back up to sitting tall again. Find your shoulders over your hips. Head towards the sky above you. Left hand, we can bring it to the floor of the pillow beside you. And then reach across with your right hand, across beyond your left leg, So you're still tall and upright as you find your turn to the left. Belly turns, chest turns, and then you can just rest that right hand wherever it happens to land. While we're here, staying in the twist, how does the breath move you? How can you remain responsive to each inhale and to each exhale? Remember, on the inhale, try to relax your belly. Let breath move in and down a little deeper. Yeah, and then it's with your exhale, you can find a little more of that support. Hugging in and up through the belly to perhaps feel the twist deepen. Very good. Bring it on back through center again. And one more time, we can come forward. Now, if your body has had enough of this shape, you could come forward in a different symmetrical forward bend, whether your legs are stretched out wider or straight ahead. Find what's working for you. I'm going to go with straight ahead and release through the spine that way. So whichever forward bend you're in, you want to just allow for softness in the shoulders. Land the hands in a way that doesn't pull the shoulders up to the ears. And feel like your head not only, it doesn't reach down, but more reaches forward towards your feet or the space between them. That's it. Another couple breaths with it. Try to soften to the breath here. Okay, and then take your time pushing down through the legs to help you rise and roll up to sitting tall again. You're welcome to come off your support and maybe find a little loose movement through your hips, legs. All right, and then we can rest back onto the back. So feel free to use that pillow or bolster again to be comfortable in Shavasana. And do any little shifts and adjustments you need to do to find that full comfort and support here. So the idea is to feel from head to tail. You're resting through the center, spine centered, back pelvis, back ribs, both shoulders resting as evenly as they can from right to left. Letting your legs soften from the hips down to the feet. And feel the length of your arms rest in a way that you can relax from the shoulders into the hands and fingers. Once again, feel free to close your eyes, soften your gaze, whatever feels best for you. Rest your awareness right here with your body settling into the ground. And with the spaces inside you, a little more receptive to the movements of your breath. And just do your best to stay present with each inhale, aware of each exhale. Breath rising and falling like gentle waves coming and going. And then as you continue to feel yourself resting here, you can little by little start to deepen the breath again, helping to gently re-energize yourself. Finding movement once again through fingers and toes and ankles and wrists. And any further stretches. Yeah, you might end with the knees together, find some gentle rocks again, or simply feet on the ground, knees side to side, before you come to rest over onto your side again. And you can make your way, when you're ready, up into any comfortable seated shape. Yeah, checking in with how you sit. We did quite a bit of hip external rotation, stretching that. So hopefully that's feeling a little more easeful. Just noticing for yourself what you feel as you take a moment with your palms together in front of the heart. And giving thanks to yourself for being here, taking time to be present with your body and your breath. And anything else you may be grateful for today. I thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful day.